Space is a stunning and beautiful place. Yet space is also extremely dangerous. It's important to understand the risks involved in space travel and exploration. If and when space travel becomes possible for the masses, what are the dangers that could prove to be fatal? Ten ways you could die in space. Excessive exposure to cosmic radiation. One way to die in space is through excessive exposure to cosmic radiation. Cosmic radiation is made up of high-energy particles that are constantly bombarding the Earth from all directions. In space, where there is no atmosphere to protect us, the risk of exposure to cosmic radiation is much higher. These particles can be harmful to the human body and can cause cancer, gene mutations, and other health problems. Too much exposure to this radiation could certainly prove to be fatal for those traveling in space. Depressurization. Depressurization can occur when the airtight seal of a spacecraft is broken and the air inside is released into the vacuum of space. Without air, a person will lose consciousness within seconds. Death would follow shortly thereafter. Asphyxiation. Asphyxiation, or the lack of oxygen, is another way to die in space. All living organisms need oxygen to survive. In space, of course, there is no oxygen to breathe. If there were a problem with oxygen levels on a ship or spacesuit, the body would quickly start to shut down. You would slowly lose consciousness, and death would quickly follow. Hypothermia. In space, temperatures can fluctuate dramatically, and it's possible to experience hypothermia, or extreme cold. The human body is not equipped to withstand extremely cold temperatures for long periods of time, and it can quickly succumb to hypothermia, leading to death. Hypothermia. On the other hand, it's also possible to experience hypothermia, or extreme heat, in space. The temperature in space can rise to well over 100 degrees Celsius. The human body, of course, is not able to withstand such high temperatures. Hypothermia can lead to heat stroke, organ damage, and death. Collisions with debris. Another danger in space is a collision with debris. There is a lot of debris floating around in space, including old satellites, rocket parts, and other objects. These objects can travel at very high speeds, and a collision with one of them could be catastrophic. A collision with space debris would most certainly lead to death in space. Explosions. An explosion on a spacecraft would be deadly in space. A spacecraft is a complex machine with many moving parts. If something were to go wrong, it could result in an explosion on board. This could cause the entire craft to break apart, leading to the deaths of all aboard. Fire. A fire, like explosions, could also be deadly in the confined space of a spacecraft. In the lack of gravity, a fire can quickly spread and it can be difficult or impossible to extinguish. A fire on a spacecraft could lead to asphyxiation, burns, and death. Medical emergencies. Medical emergencies could easily be deadly in space. The lack of gravity can cause a number of health problems, and it can be difficult to get medical help in a timely manner. This inability to obtain proper and swift medical attention could ultimately be fatal for anyone in space. Psychological factors. Finally, psychological factors can also play a role in death in space. Being in space for extended periods of time can be isolating and can take a toll on a person's mental health. It is important for astronauts to have support systems in place and to be monitored for any mental health issues that may arise. If not addressed, mental health issues could eventually lead to accidents or self-harm. Space is an exciting place, and the idea of space exploration both now and in the future is fascinating. But space is also incredibly dangerous. The decision to travel in space, when possible, should not be taken lightly. Space is still filled with unknowns. But eventually, travel will be possible. And humans must know the risks.